Great rising, great being, great ending, depending on what part of the day this video reaches you. As always, I want to wish nothing but greatness to anybody this video crosses, or to anybody who shared this video with you. Um, when you get time, say thank you, because we're really trying to impact the world, and we're really trying to motivate and tweak everybody's mentality to keep them in a positive mind state, because again, the positive mind state is what generates, the energy to strive for greatness and to keep you in good vibrations, high vibrations. Before we get started, yesterday was Mother's Day, so I would like to tell all future, past, and present mothers, Happy Mother's Day. Would none of us be here if it was not for the mother? And we have to show appreciation for that. So to all mothers, Happy Mother's Day. All of you are very loved and very appreciated, even if it's not seeming that way, even if it doesn't seem that way. From the bottom of my heart, to speak out of just pure positivity. You're loved, you're thought about, and you're appreciated, even if it's not by those who you would like it to be. So let's get into it. This is the next series. If you have not caught the first series, the Great Rising series, I suggest that you start with that series. It's an 8 video series. It's basically the introductory stage of self. And in the Great Rising series, we talk a lot of self-worth, self-awareness, just self-love, just self-appreciation, self-control, just a lot about self. So it's a great series. I've been getting a lot of great feedback about my content, so don't miss out on that. To continue with this series, which is the Great Being series, we're going to get very in depth with self. Okay, what is self? It seems like it's a rhetorical question, like self is me, self. But yeah, we know who self is as of a noun, but who is self? What is self? Self is three-pronged, okay? It's three parts to self. There's basic self, there's conscious self, and then there's your higher self, okay? We're going to break this down into 3 videos. This first part, we're going to get in depth with basic self, and then so on and then so on. So, basic self. Basic self, what that is it's almost like ego. When a person thinks of their basic self, it's almost like who you think of in the majority of the time of your existence, meaning the person you see in the mirror, meaning the trendiness of who you are. But before I get even into that part of it, I want to break down what basic self factually is. Basic self is basically human expression through your body. So how you express yourself through your body. So examples, birth, when you're born, that is basic self. That is your first physical manifestation of basic self. Death is an expression of basic self. Any of your senses, any of the 6 senses, they say there's 5, I believe there's 6, but that is a whole nother video, and we're going to stay on topic. So, using your senses, that's a bodily expression. To taste, that's your body expressing yourself. So that's something that you do in your basic self. Talking, what I'm doing to you right now, I'm expressing myself in my basic self. You see the basic self of me. And it's, again, like I said, it's ego motivated. Your basic self is ego motivated, meaning who you are in your basic self is solely where your ego lies. Okay? It is who you mask. The person you dress up, as far as the style of hair or what you choose to wear, you know, how you mask yourself in this existence is your basic self. Again, it ties into the ego, you know, and a lot of us are very into our basic self, which there is no problem with that until your basic self is controlled through nothing but your ego, you know. Basic self, you have to have a balance between the three selves. So you don't want to get too caught up in basic self. Why? You get too caught up in basic self, you lose yourself. Because again, our basic self is an expression. And sometimes we don't know how to express ourselves in the right ways. So when we try to express ourselves, we do it in a manner of which our surroundings are, you know, who you're around, what you're around. All that is then in a sense manipulated. Your basic self can become very manipulated by outside things. That's why it's so good to have a good balance between each of the three selves. And that's why it's not so good to be too caught up in your basic self. Now, again, it's healthy for you to know your basic self and know who you are when you express fit through the body and to know who you are, how you carry yourself as far as your style, you know, what makes you you as the individual. That is the importance of basic self and knowing and being in tune with your basic self, because that is you. It's your personality. It's what separates you from everybody else. It's one of the things that separates you from everybody else. Okay, so that's basic self. You have to learn to control basic self. And see, a lot of what I realized today is everybody's lost control of their basic self. You know, nobody's tuning in to who they are and how they express themselves through their physical form. It's haywire. You got people just following trends, and that's part of ego. That's when you don't know how to be yourself, and that's how you don't know how to remain who you are, and you don't know how to separate who you are as an individual from other individuals. And then again, that's how you get caught up in the manipulation of yourself, your basic self. Okay, basic self is very important. Now, you really don't get a full sense of control of your basic self until you are mature. Because in order to master something, you have to have practice with it. You have to have practice with it. You have to make mistakes with it. You have to fail with it. You have to learn with it. So as we as we grow from child to teenager to young adult to adults, we get enough experiences through this existence to help us pinpoint the do's and don'ts of our basic selves, the right and wrongs of our basic self. Okay, so once your basic self is most reactive once we've hit a certain level of maturity, meaning you can get the best reactions from you and not the things around you when you're mature. Meaning, once you mature and you've been through life and you've experienced these do's and don'ts, the right and wrongs, and you're a little more comfortable with your individuality, you control more of your basic self then, because you are less subject to the manipulations and the trickery and the smoke and mirrors of the things that are around us. They end up, you know, having an impact on our basic self. So again, basic self is human expression through the body, through bodily form. Basic self is ego. How into your ego are you? How into your basic self are you? Okay? You have to learn to control basic self. Because once you lose control of basic self, you then lose out on the other two selves, which is next. So, basic self, the first prong. Catch your next video. Don't forget to be great. Don't forget to be you. And always remember, never settle. One love.